Some people are not meant to walk among the crowd. They were never designed to blend in, to be endlessly social, or to conform to the noise of the masses. Their soul carries a frequency that disrupts the ordinary. Their presence alone stirs energies, not just around them, but within others. And when you're one of them, when you're chosen, it becomes painfully clear why you cannot be around too many people for too long. This isn't arrogance, this is alignment. This is spiritual protection. Because what you carry is sensitive, powerful, and often misunderstood. You sense what others ignore. You feel what's left unspoken. You absorb what they can't even see. And that gift, that sensitivity, that deep inner knowing, makes the noise of too many people feel like chaos instead of connection. Before we dive deep, comment below, "I reclaim my time and energy and space." Or simply type 333 or 999 if you're ready to honor your gift and share your experience of being drained around too many people. You're not alone. This is the sacred mark of being chosen. Welcome. Today we're going to reveal why being around a lot of people doesn't just feel off to you. It's actually misalignment on a soul level. You'll discover why you're designed to protect your peace, how your solitude is your sanctuary, and why the noise of the world can never understand the clarity of your purpose. Chosen ones don't do well in environments that are loud, surface level, and scattered. Not because they're antisocial, but because they're wired for depth, for silence, for truth. And when you're wired for that kind of spiritual clarity, too many people can fog your signal. You walk into a room and feel everything. The hidden sadness, the tension, the fake smiles, the heavy energy. It sticks to you, it clings. And if you're not careful, it drains you. That's why you crave isolation. That's why crowds overwhelm you. That's why socializing feels like work instead of restoration. It's because your system is constantly scanning energy. You're not just hearing words, you're decoding vibration. You're not just meeting faces, you're discerning intentions. And this, my friend, is why your soul keeps pulling you back into solitude. Because in the silence, you hear God more clearly. Because in the alone time, your gifts get sharper. Because away from the noise, you can finally breathe without pressure, think without interference, and feel your own frequency without distortion. The world has told you that isolation is wrong. That solitude means you're broken or unfriendly. But here's the truth. The higher your calling, the more silence you'll require. The deeper your purpose, the more alone time you'll need to recalibrate. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Because when you are around too many people, their energy mixes with yours. And for someone like you, someone whose soul is finely tuned, even a small imbalance can throw you off your path. You start to feel confusion, anxiety, doubt, fatigue, and you can't even trace why. But it's not yours, it's theirs. Their fears, their projections, their unresolved wounds, their judgments. And it latches onto you because your aura is open, your heart is wide, and your sensitivity, your intuition, is a beacon. But don't curse your sensitivity, honor it. Your nervous system isn't weak, it's precise. Your solitude isn't loneliness, it's strategy. You see, chosen ones often undergo a season of separation before elevation. A stripping away of the unnecessary, a quieting of the outer world so the inner world can speak louder. That's why you've been pulled away. That's why certain people left. That's why large crowds feel suffocating instead of supportive. Because not everyone can walk with you. Not everyone is meant to sit at your table. And not everyone can handle the light you carry. So your soul begins doing the work for you, filtering, removing, distancing. Not out of fear, but out of necessity. And deep down, you've always known this. You've always felt different. Even in groups, you felt apart. Even in company, you felt alone. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Your spirit recognized early on that your path would be narrow, your circle small, and your energy rare. You didn't push people away. Your energy just outgrew their frequency. You didn't close your heart. Your intuition simply closed the doors that were leaking your power. You didn't choose isolation. Isolation chose you, because divine protection always precedes divine promotion. When you start realizing who you are, your spirit gets selective. You no longer crave attention, you crave alignment. You don't chase groups, you attract depth. You're not looking to be understood by the many. You're looking to be seen by the few who can actually hold space for your magnitude. That's why crowds never felt right. That's why group chats drain you. That's why being everywhere on social media burns you out. You weren't built to entertain the world. You were built to enlighten it in your own way, on your own terms. And that, beloved soul, requires solitude, because the power you carry was meant to be refined in private before being released in public. You're not hiding, you're incubating, you're not withdrawing, you're downloading. When you're chosen, God speaks to you in the quiet. He sharpens your discernment in the stillness. He prepares you in secret before revealing you in seasons. And yes, it can feel lonely. Yes, it can feel like nobody gets you. Yes, it can feel like you're walking through life misunderstood, misread, and misplaced. But don't let that fool you. You are exactly where you need to be. Because even though your path is narrow, it is sacred. Even though your circle is small, it is clean. And even though your energy pulls away from the masses, it is doing so to protect what you carry. Because what you carry is not for everybody. It's for the right ones, the real ones, the ready ones. And the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your spirit. Your presence isn't just something casual, it's catalytic. You walk into a room and things shift. You say a sentence and someone reflects on it for days. You give your time and someone feels seen in a way they haven't in years. That's not ordinary, that's sacred. And because of that, your energy must be managed, protected, and often reserved. You've been through seasons where you tried to fit in, and each time your spirit rebelled. You forced yourself into groups, friendships, events, crowds, and came back more tired than before, more lost, more disconnected from yourself. That wasn't social exhaustion, that was soul misalignment. Because when your frequency rises, your boundaries must too. You can't keep letting people in out of guilt. You can't keep explaining yourself to those who don't want to understand. You can't keep shrinking so others don't feel small next to your light. You were not sent here to dim down. You were sent here to radiate, even if that means walking alone. And don't get it twisted, being alone doesn't mean being unloved. It means being wise enough to know that peace is more valuable than company. That solitude is more valuable than shallow validation. That being alone with God is often more productive than being surrounded by people who don't understand your mission. This is why your path is different. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because everything is becoming right with you. You're shedding what's fake. You're walking away from noise. You're saying no more often because your yes now carries spiritual weight. You feel the shift. You feel your energy changing. And it scares some people, even those close to you. Because when you step into your power, others are forced to confront their own lack of growth. And that can cause resentment, distance, even betrayal. But hear me clearly. Don't shrink back just to make them comfortable. They had access to you when you were unclear, when you were searching, when you were doubting your worth. If they couldn't see your value then, they don't deserve your elevation now. You are not obligated to stay small for the sake of connection. You are being elevated, and elevation often requires separation. The people you lose in the process were never meant to go with you to the next level. And the people who are meant for you will find you, not when you're shrinking, but when you're standing fully in your light. You weren't designed to be liked by everyone. You were chosen to be understood by the few who carry the same spiritual coding as you. Chosen ones don't blend in because they can't. Their aura is different. Their rhythm is different. Their vision, their purpose, their pace, all different. You've likely felt this your whole life, walking into rooms and feeling energies before people even speak, knowing when someone's smile hides pain, sensing when someone is not telling the truth, even if their words are convincing. That's your gift. It's not paranoia, it's spiritual intelligence. You were tuned to a higher frequency so that you could see what others can't, hear what others won't, and move where others freeze. That's why you can't fake it in conversations anymore. That's why gossip bores you. That's why small talk irritates your nervous system. You crave depth, you crave truth, you crave soul-level honesty. And that's rare in a world built on performance. So the universe did what it always does with the chosen. It separated you. It pulled you out of environments that diluted you. It closed doors that made you feel like you had to pretend. It ended relationships that were built on illusion and convenience. And at first, it felt like loss. But now you know better. Now you understand that being chosen isn't about being celebrated by the many. It's about being entrusted with a mission that only the few can carry. You see, not everyone is assigned the same spiritual responsibility. Not everyone is sent here to awaken others, to break generational patterns, to walk away from the crowd and build something completely new. That's why you couldn't follow the path laid out for you. That's why you had to deviate, even when it made no sense to others. Because the calling on your life didn't come with mass approval. It came with inner conviction. You've had moments where you questioned your path, your choices, your direction, but you kept going. You've walked through shadow seasons that would have crushed others, but you rose. And through it all, you've been transformed into someone no crowd could ever create. Someone raw, real, refined by fire. That's why you've been kept away from too many people, because you weren't meant to be influenced. You were meant to be guided. You weren't meant to be taught how to fit in. You were meant to remember who you are. And the truth is, crowds confuse clarity. When too many people speak into your life, you can't hear your own voice. When you seek too many opinions, you lose your own knowing. When you're surrounded by noise, your spiritual antenna can't receive divine downloads. God knew that. That's why He took you out. That's why He stripped the distractions. That's why He placed you in the silence. Because in the silence, He knew you'd begin to hear again. You'd begin to see clearly. You'd begin to remember the vision that was once blurry. You'd begin to walk in confidence, not because others validated you, but because you were finally aligned with what God placed within you. This is the gift of solitude. It's not punishment. It's preparation. It's not loneliness. It's leadership. It's not rejection. It's redirection to your true spiritual identity. And once you step into that, once you truly embody your divine frequency, you become magnetic. Not to the many, but to the aligned, to the awakened, to the ones who recognize your light because they carry the same fire. At that point, you no longer need crowds to feel seen. Because you're finally seen by yourself. You no longer need applause to feel worthy. Because your worth isn't measured in noise, it's measured in your knowing. You no longer seek the comfort of people. You seek the guidance of the divine. And the divine always leads you where you're meant to go, even if it's a road that others can't walk with you. You were never meant to travel like the masses. Your walk was designed to be different, sacred, and divinely timed. And while it may have looked like isolation from the outside, in the spiritual realm, it was elevation. This world loves noise. It rewards those who speak loudest, who gain followers, who perform endlessly for attention. But your soul, your calling, it doesn't crave any of that. Your calling demands depth, not popularity, purpose, not performance. That's why your path hasn't looked like theirs. That's why you've had to turn away from invitations that looked good but didn't feel right. That's why you've had to say no when your flesh wanted yes. That's why your seasons of silence have been misunderstood. Because while others were chasing visibility, you were being given vision. And with vision comes responsibility. Responsibility to honor your truth, to protect your peace, to walk away from places and people who do not match your energy. Not because you're better, but because your mission is different. The ones assigned to lead are often the ones called to walk alone for a while. And now you know, that separation wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You've been shaped in solitude. You've been refined through resistance. You've been called to carry something heavy, but holy. And what's coming next for you will make sense of all that silence. The opportunities that are aligning now will reflect the strength you've built behind closed doors. The divine timing that's opening for you will validate the choices you made when no one clapped for you. You'll begin to see why you couldn't stay where you were, why certain people had to leave, why certain circles couldn't walk with you into this next chapter. Because the version of you that's rising now is too anointed to be mishandled, too powerful to be dimmed, too aligned to be distracted. You've stepped into a higher dimension of awareness. You no longer see things as they appear. You see them as they are. That's a gift most never receive, and it's why you'll always be misunderstood by the many, but deeply seen by the few who matter. That's the mark of the chosen. So the next time you feel the sting of loneliness, remember this truth. It's not absence, it's alignment. It's not that you're missing out, it's that you're being moved into what's truly meant for you. Because when you carry light, you must protect your flame. And only those with clean hands and pure hearts can walk alongside you without putting it out. You were never called to dim. You were called to shine unapologetically, even if it means walking alone for a while. Because in the divine blueprint, solitude is not a detour. It's the route to your destiny. And now, your path is clearing. The weight is lifting. Your spirit is rising. You've done the inner work. You've listened in the silence. You've walked away when it hurt. You've stayed loyal to your inner knowing when it cost you connection. And now the universe, God, your higher self, they are responding. Doors are opening not because you begged, but because you aligned. People are being removed not because of drama, but because your frequency evolved. Opportunities are coming not because you hustled, but because you surrendered and trusted. This is what happens when a chosen one stops trying to be understood by the crowd and starts being led by the calling. The veil lifts, the path illuminates, and the right people, the real ones, begin to show up. Those who honor your depth, those who see your light, those who've walked their own shadow path and recognize your scars as sacred. So now it's time. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop explaining. Time to stop compromising your peace just to be accepted. You are not here to blend in. You are here to awaken others by being exactly who you are. And the ones meant for you will not need to be convinced. They will recognize your energy. They will mirror your frequency. They will add peace, not confusion. Flow, not friction. So walk boldly now. Walk with your head high, your spirit clean, and your flame protected. You were never meant for many. You were made for meaning. And everything you've been through was just preparing you to finally walk in it. This is your time.